The DAX is just reluctantly not wanting to come down. It's kind of interesting, really, because when we look at the US dollar, that around these highs here, the 28th of September, then we had, which is down here, we've had the second, this low of 3rd of October to the 28th of September. So there's not a lot of difference between this top and this bottom here. Now, in moving up here, the dollar index started to turn at this point and started to move up from that point, and this market started to go sideways from here. The euro dollar started to come down from that point, the cable came down from that point, the US indices came down from the 2nd of February, and that 2nd of February is this turning point down here at the 2nd of February. So we're moving up in this direction here, and we're just going sideways here. So technically that's the high, so I should really just move that over to this particular point here for that. Now this move here we're looking as wave 1 up here, because all of this move here would coincide with this move down through here. So we can remove this particular 1 and 2 here. And we're looking for some sort of ABC correction here, but it's just not dropping. And I can interpret this in, I have in different ways, but it still doesn't leave me any better off. I mean, I would like to short it, but first of all, I don't like shorting markets into large numbers like this. And also above the 15 here, we've got 100, 200, and 300, and that's all of mine are group 1. And I very rarely call short trades into group 1, because I know it gets very bouncy at that point. So it should be coming down, but it's just not doing what it's told. So I'm still a bit lost on this. I could get sort of impulse waves out of this. It's a little bit sort of tricky. You know, if we had to sort of label it, we'd be sort of over here with it in some sort of A, B, C for the B wave, and some sort of C wave coming down here. You know, normally the distance above that the market goes will be normally the distance down. So, you know, I mean, 14,550 somewhere. You know, somewhere in this space. I mean, technically we'll be down here at the 61.8%, but we've obviously got fantastic support here, so we could pretty much look at this here, but it just doesn't want to come down at that point, you know. So that's a little bit of an issue. And like I say, the euro dollar, that's pulled down. The FTSE's starting to move down now, and will pick up a bit of speed to the downside. Now it's letting go of a larger number. Now, coming back over here, we can look at this in a couple of different ways in terms of the A wave, the B wave, and then, as you know, we've been looking at this as 1 and 2, and I'm looking at this for timing, really. Now, there is a possibility that we could put wave 3 and 4 here, and funny enough, that would line up, even though there's overlapping wave structures here, that would line up quite nicely on the euro dollar doing exactly the same. So, yeah, I mean, if we just move this out the way for a moment, let's just go for a little tour around, because it's good to match things up. So this euro dollar here on the probably same date, 2nd of February up here, the same date as this low here, and we're going up in an A and a B and 1, 2 and so on up there. So in this case, we've got down for the A wave, an ABC for the B wave. And then here it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for wave 1 and 2, and it's a nice long third wave here. The wave 4 gave us an overlapping wave structure at this point. What do we do here? Do we look at this as wave 1 here and possibly a wave 2 here, just to be Elliott correct at that point, and look for further downside, because wave 4 has overlapped wave 1 here, so that would be the right thing to do, wouldn't it, you know? So anyway, now we've got to work those two counts, but as a count, as 1, 2, 3, 4, we see FX overlapping quite a lot, so on wave 4s anyway. So we're looking for possibly wave 5 down here, or possibly a bigger wave 3 down here for green, 1, 2, you know what I mean? So we either got one more move to come down somewhere here, Normally if the extension's in wave 3 like this here, then wave 1 here and wave 5 can be roughly the same. Now I'll add a little bit to it because we went a little bit higher here, so down around the 104 would be, you know, suffice at that point. So is that going to be the low there? Is that going to be the case? That's a kind of a good mirror image. So we've got to work out now if this 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 is going to be in play here. I think the other one of the, if I can just go left field here a little bit, because when I get lost I've got to look around at things, and one of the things here is the Australian dollar. Now this is on 5k tick, so a bit smaller, but it's the same thing as the euro, so the A, the B, and then looking down for 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for third, fourth and fifth. So a little bit, I mean, I've got this on 20k over here, so it looks a bit, you know, neat and tidier, and I've got this labeled differently at this, around this junction here. We haven't got to the fourth wave here just yet on this one, so we've got this one here and this one here. So we're coming down for, we've got 1 and 2, so 1 and 2, we've got this third wave coming down. But in this, I could shorten this up, that's not really a problem actually. I can do that by pushing this up to here and this up to here and pushing this here and this here. It's something that I'll just need to work on a little bit. So I could put this here and I could put wave 4 here and we could be finished here. So that's a possibility as well. I understand. Basically they're moving down to get, you know, they're all, the FXs are doing what they, I better just label that in 2 different ways there, because I'm just still mucking around with that, getting it right. I mean, they're all going to land together, you know, and that means the S&P 500 and you know, gold and all these things, you know, they're all going to be landing together. So that's the thing. So if these are all landing together, then, you know, I need to understand, come back to the DAX here, and let's just go and have a little look at this DX, the DXY here. That's 2k is to get this move down the bottom here. So from down the bottom here, just a mirror image of the other markets, the A, the B, and going up for wave C over here, and we're looking for 5 waves up, and the same as the other markets. So we've got 1 and 2, and you know, I said that the euro was overlapping, and this wave 4 here just nips this here and overlaps this. As long as this stays in place, if this market comes down through this, then that's the end of the trend to the upside, and I'll bring wave C down to here, and I'll look at, put wave B over here and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because that's the next best fit. But while it's above this 104 here, then we'll stay with it. But the question is do we suck up wave 4 being overlapping here, or do we look at wave 1 and 2 here? I think it's best, well, for me anyway, I'm just going to leave the 2 of them there for the time being, and I'm going to see how quickly this moves here, because if it's going to be a wave 5, it's going to be a little bit lazier over here for this, and if it's going to be a wave 3, then it's going to be a bit more chirpy to the upside here. It's going to show a lot of strength actually here, because it would be up for 1, back for 2, up for 1, back for 2, up for 1, back for 2, and push up quite strongly at that point, you know. So that's something that we've got to look at. It's plausible and possible and probable. So we'll just see which way that plays out here. The overall situation, though, even though we can be lost in certain in connecting the dots and in certain time frames, in the bigger time frame, we're still swimming in this river here, going up, you know. So that's the main thing. And while this is going up here, that's going to put pressure on the DAX, the FTSE, the dollar, euro dollar, I mean, and you know, the other pairs in that case. So you would be looking for long trades here and short trades in the other markets. So at least, even though I don't have all the answers, you know, we've got that, you know, and we know that We know that the the S&P is on the softer side as well. So if it was above 4,000, we'll be looking for long trades. If we're below 4,000 and it's retesting like this, we look for short trades. Now it's possible that this can be an A wave here, an ABC for the B wave here, and up for the C wave to get another wave, more complicated wave 4, and then come down. But either way, there's no long trade here yet. The pressure is to the downside. So this will finish off pretty much the same time this finishes off. So having this as a 5th wave here is quite a good call, actually. I think it's reasonable at that point. So we could actually look for, I'm going to remove that because that's probably not the case. So we could look for 5 waves up here. So it could take like 2 to 3 days to get up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, something of this nature, and then fold over at that point. But if that's the timing, because this is what we're looking for the timing of this top. If indeed that is the case, we need to get up there first. Then we need to then we need to see the turn. We need to get an impulse wave to the downside here. But once that top's in place, then we can look to go long on pretty much everything else on the planet, so nothing to trade and then everything to trade at that point, So that's where we are. We've been talking about this for a long time through here, haven't we? But coming back to this, it's just not responding, as much as the others in pulling back. And look, it may not be able to hold up there for too long, but it still looks bullish whichever way I look at it. So if we go in and have a look at this, I might just cut straight through to the chase here on the 5K tick chart here and look at this here. So if we look at wave 1 up there, because yesterday when we looked at this, we started counting up here, didn't we? We got 5 waves up here. So I thought, oh, well, that's a little bit odd getting 5 waves up there. And also too here, we got 3 waves here. So it's like we should be going up here, but I can see that the rest of the market is weighted here, and this will be 1, 2, 1, 2. So we're going to be coming down here, testing this low here, So that's why I've got the wave 1 here. And, do we look at this as wave 2 here? It's a bit of a long shot because, we did spend a little bit of time nutting everything out here as a 5 wave move. So that's a little bit, so I've got conflicting things there. And if I line everything up, then I'd have to put the A wave here, the B wave here, and so on. I could get this as, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. I know it doesn't count very nicely like that, but sometimes at the tops of markets, it gets to, you see it like that. But otherwise, the A wave to here, and then an A and a B and a C wave here for the B wave, and then some 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 coming down here further, But I don't like shorting in to large numbers, and group 1 here, it's a problem for me. So I don't really, this to me should be an A and a B and a C wave to here, and then going up from here with wave 1 here and having, wave 2 here in this case, and then this is wave 1 and 2, and then, moving up here higher in that instance. But I just can't see that sort of happening, Look, it may, but it's not very helpful for me. I can't give you a safe, clean direction on it, and I'm not going to say anything if I don't know anything. So all I know is that it should be coming down, but it's not coming down very much, and maybe it will catch up, but like I say, if the dollar here, the DXY's got, say, because what was this here, roughly speaking, 15th to 17th, so 15, 16, probably, and I'll go to 18. So I've got 3 days for wave 1, so 3 days for roughly for wave 5 here would be okay as well. So we've got 3 days to get something, at least under the 15 here. Normally, as I mentioned, just as a rough thing, the distance above the market here, above a level, is normally the distance below, distance below, which would be down here, sorry. So that'll take us down to 14.5 at that point. So that's what I'd kind of expect, minimum, and that's not even the 50-60% retracement level we're looking for, So yeah, look, I'll probably get all this wrong and it'll probably move to the upside and so on. But yeah, that's where that is at the moment. And we looked at we'll come to the euro in a minute again. So the FTSE starting to create a top here, so we can remove this here. That's just not going to be happening. So 5 waves up for wave 1, and we also need this to pull back as well. I mean, I'm in Australia, and I know England and Australia are very close together in terms of trade, law, accounting, all of these things, and I see the FTSE pretty much the same as the Australian market to a point. The FTSE's 10 times bigger, of course, but we're going through the same thing with the Australian market at the moment as well, but and the same dates and times and all of that. I mean, it's, even though you're not, see, this is the Australian market here, and we're trying to figure out what we've got here. So we've got the same pattern the same move to the upside here. This is on 20k ticks, but so we've got this move up here, the same, but we've turned, close to the tops there, the 3rd of February, where the DAX, where the dollar turned. So we've turned with the dollar. So, I was expecting the DAX to do and the FTSE to do this around the same date, and they just lingered up here and made it a little bit difficult. But this is pulled back. Just so markets are pulling back in their things. So, the FTSE needs to catch up now at this point. And we'll need to look here for an ABC pattern in here. Doesn't have to come all the way back to the 50-60% mark here, but we still need to see something come back, just on the 5k here for a moment, so we started to note yesterday and the day before that here we could look at this as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 here. So we had that 5-wave move here, and then we had this 3-wave move here, but I'm wondering if this is 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. But now this top here would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. So maybe we even just get another one to include this one here. So when this finishes out of 5 waves down here somewhere, we'll get one more, and then we'll have this here. Now, it probably won't be wave 1 at that point. It will probably be an A wave. And this is lagging, the other markets a fair bit. So we'd still need to see it come down somewhere down here, So yeah, I'm just going to hide that in there for the time being, just as a little side note here. But if I was counting 5 waves down here, that's how I'd count it, So you're probably thinking, well, can I short it and all those sort of things? I wouldn't short it into this area here. That's not there. So what we can do is wait for this to land, and then we have to wait for the B wave, and we can catch the C wave at that time. But this is behind the 8 ball, like if the US dollar only has, like, say, 3 or 4 days to the upside, that's going to be important where we are with this, maybe things will catch up, anyway, that's where that is at the moment. So it's going to be a bit rough coming into the 7-8 here, okay, so just be very careful about that. And then we come back to the euro here, and this is the issue that we've got here at the moment. We've got the A, the B, and we've got that overlap here. So we could call it wave 1 and 2, but if I was going to call it wave 1 and 2 at this point in the trend, well, then I would need to I'd probably need to look at this as wave 1 here and wave 2 here. But what that would mean that the US dollar index is not in a corrective move up here, but in a bull market at that point. So if I go back to the daily chart here, so if I labeled it 1 and 2, then this market here would have to look at this as a corrective pattern in here, and then look at a move much higher at that point. That doesn't kind of make much sense to me at this particular point, so I don't think that I can go there with that 1 and 2 at this point. So I think just step by step. So let's just assume for a moment that this does come down in line with the S&P coming down and so on, and the dollar index moving up higher and so on. And we get down to this point here. So after these 5 waves here, let's just see what we get from that point there. Do you know what I mean? If we get impulse waves up, well then we'll start looking at if we get a nice impulse wave coming back up equaling this here, then we can start looking at the long side of that point over here for that, you know. But if we see this move up here become sort of more corrective at that point, because it's going to hit supply there, then we know that it's corrective and we'll be coming down for another dip, and then we'll have to do the same, a rinse and repeat at that point, you know. So we're looking for lows. We're not at our target area just yet for this either. So there's more pressure to the downside. So the trend is still to the downside. That's at least something that I can say. The 105, 5 being the second strongest number, there's definitely going to be a bounce at that number. So that's the number that you would trade to. Well, just before that number would suffice. And we'll just check out what we get from that point. And the pound, the cable is a little bit like the DAX. It's also reluctant to come down as well. There's different ways we could look at this particular market. We can look at it as a triangle pattern. We could look at it as a flat. We can probably look at it as a WXY as well. It's a bit, it doesn't want to come down. It's like the DAX. It just does not want to come down, but yet it can come down, and taking out this low here would be a breaking of the current triangle pattern. So if it did that, then it would be, it would come further down at that point, because it's getting support here at the moment from the old lows here. But if this area here becomes the resistance, so to speak, and it can't get back up there, well then it's likely to drop and let go at that point. But it's far from letting go at the moment, So I can't really call anything in here. Because of the price action that we've got here, it does look like well, I could probably look at that as an impulse wave. I think now that I've mentioned it, we'll have to, it's 10k ticks and come back here. Let's just go in and have a look at this. Well, that's 1 and 2, isn't it? And that's 1 and 2. That's 1, 2. Oh, I could probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1 and 2. Can we move that over to here for 3, 4? It counts okay as 5 up. What about this here? That's a little bit trickier to count, isn't it? We have to squash something up at that point. So what we could say here, I guess, is that this 1.2 here, which you will see a bounce off that. So just be prepared for that. There will be a bounce here. It is at the 50-60% mark. So if you're going to short this, there would be some sort of support coming in here for this. But if it eventually finds it as the resistance here, then you've got your short trade at that point, because it's below where it should be at that point. It's probably corrective to the upside. 1, 2, 3. Oh, I see, right. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, then 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it counts as an impulse wave to the upside. So it can move up here further. This is looking rather impulsive here as well. Anyway, the 1.2 here as the resistance is the short trade setup, and yeah, but I like shorting the weakest product in the market, not the strongest, and that's what that is here at the moment. I mean, we could we've been looking at it as a triangle pattern, and we could probably, fluff around with it a bit more. We can probably look at it like this here with a wave C here of D, and that impulse wave that we're looking at here is actually terminating a corrective pattern over here, and then we still need wave E to come into play here, and we put wave C over here for that. Take away that and put this here. But it's hard to sort of like, I mean, this market should be doing the inverse of the US dollar, so to have a triangle pattern here just doesn't make much sense to me at the moment. So as I mentioned before with this, I think we just need to leave it at this point. And I don't think that I don't think it is a triangle pattern, and I don't think we need that up there. I think we need this over here somewhere. Let's just get in a bit more data here. When's that date? That's December. That's January. February is over here for that. So I think that we really need to call this in over here as the top here, just to line it up with the other markets, and then we'll probably have to look at this as the A wave here, the B wave here, and the C wave over here for this, and over the next wee while look down for something like this, so the A wave here, the B wave over here, and the C wave coming down. I mean, that would make sense to me rather than fluffing around with flats and triangles and other things at this point. I can't see it being the same as, being different from the other markets. I think it's just a matter of going, okay, well, it wants to be unique, different, and special. Okay, we'll give you that. You can be all of those things. But at the same time, you're still part of the herd. So you need to be... so I'm going to change this here, actually, because I don't really know what the best thing to do here is. That's the thing, and I don't want to I'm confused myself. I don't want to have to confuse other folks with this as well. I'll leave that line there. That's it. I'll just remove that. In fact, I'll just remove that, and we'll remove this, and just kind of make things a little bit simpler here. That would kind of put it in line, because the FTSE hasn't really come down either, it's just starting to come down now. So maybe we can line all those guys up together at this point. So that would be something like this at this point. They'll need some catching up to do, and this B wave could get a bit more complicated. It's only pulled, I would say, 40% rather than 50% of this previous trend, so that would leave us another leg to the downside. So this leg here would be over here for that, so something like this as wave 2. Yeah, but if you're going to short this, then you need that 1.2 there as the resistance at that point. Okay, well, I'll just leave it like that for the time being. Look, but I have to say, I don't know if that's right, It kind of brings it in a little bit. I think now that I've talked it through in my own head with an audience, I think that I'm a little bit closer to it. But, yeah, all I can say, if you want to short this, that 1.2 needs to become the retested resistance, and, you need to see that. If that's the 1.2, you need the move down through here, come back and check it. You can short out on this low, you can short the second low. Most of the time it's going to come back above the level there, so you're going to look at it like this, coming back above the level here, and then you'll have to rinse and repeat and go again with that. So it may not be as easy as you think at this point. Rightio. Yeah, there'll be a lot of bouncing between 1.9 and 2 in here. A lot. We've got a lot of lows in there. It's going to be a little bit hectic in there. Alrighty, I'll leave it at that. Yeah, while this is being a bit hectic here, the dollar index at 105 is going to be struggling at that point too. So, yeah. Alrighty, I'll leave it there. Cheers.